classification of living things part 2, and I'll be focusing mainly on kingdom Animalia today. Kingdom Animalia, the last lesson we've talked about the kingdom Monera, the kingdom Procista, the kingdom Fungi, and then the kingdom Plantae. So today I will be focusing a lot on the kingdom Animalia. And there are 8 phylums under the kingdom Animalia. There are 8 phylums. The first phylum that we have is the phylum Coeloterantha. After the phylum Coeloterantha, we have the phylum Platyhelminthes. After the phylum Platyhelminthes, we have the phylum Nematoda. After the phylum Nematoda, we have the phylum Annelida. After the phylum Annelida, we have the phylum Arthropoda, then the phylum Mollusca, the phylum Echinodermata, and then the phylum Chordata. All these phylum are already listed on the screen for you. So please and let us take note of it. They are 8 in numbers, from the Coeloterantha to the phylum Chordata. So I'll just be taking this phylum one by one, and I'll be sharing some of their few characteristics, but this should not hinder you from also checking some textbook for further knowledge. And I would recommend 2 textbooks, Essential Biology and Modern Biology. If you don't have, go and get it. JAMB is starting by grade 6. So the first phylum now, that's the phylum Coeloterantha. One thing about Coeloterantha is that the first thing is that they are aquatic. That's number 1 thing, they are aquatic. That means they live inside water. Then the second thing about their phylum is that they are diploblastic. And whenever you hear about diplo, that word die, what will come into your mind when we are talking about diploblastic? That means they have 2 body layers. They have 2 body layers. That's the meaning of diploblastic. And the 2 body layers that they have are the ectoderm and the endoderm. And the third thing that we mentioned here about the phylum Coeloterantha is that they have a tissue level of organization. In the first class, I mentioned the level of organization that we have: the cell, the tissue, the organ system, and then the organisms. So the coelotherids, they belong towards this tissue level of organization. And then the fourth thing about them is that they are radially symmetrical. They are radially symmetrical, and some of their examples are your Hydra. That's a very good example. So know that Hydra is a member of the phylum Coeloterantha. Then the next phylum that I will be discussing is the phylum Platyhelminthes. These Platyhelminthes are also referred to as the flatworms. Phylum Platy. They are also called the flatworms. And one thing about the phylum Platyhelminthes, the number 1 thing is that they are triploblastic. From the word tri now. The word tri means 3. So phylum Platyhelminthes are triploblastic, which shows that they have 3 body layers, unlike the first phylum that we mentioned before. In the Coeloterantha, they have 2 body layers, but the Platyhelminthes have 3 body layers, which are the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. Then another thing about the phylum Platyhelminthes is that they are bilaterally symmetrical. They are bilaterally symmetrical, and they respire by simple diffusion through the body surface. They respire by diffusion through the body surface. I know the reason why they can just be respire through the body surface because they have a large surface area to volume. So diffusion can take place very fast, and they are hermaphrodite. When we are talking about hermaphrodite, it means that they have both male and female sexes of female organ in one single organism. That means an organism will have both male and female reproductive organism present in them. That is the meaning of what? Hermaphrodite. An example of what the platyhelminths are the liver flake and the tapeworm. So don't forget about it. The first one is the Sloterantha, and then the second one now is the what? Platyhelminths. Then the third phylum that we'll be mentioning here today is the phylum what? Nematoda. And the first thing about the phylum Nematoda is that their body is bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic. I've mentioned the meaning of what is triploblastic for platyhelminths also, that what they have what? 3 body layers. And Nematoda also was exhibit tissue level of organization, and their body has a cavity, and they are either what? Free living or parasites. Nematoda are either what? Free living or parasites. So don't forget, bilaterally symmetrical or triploblastic, tissue level of organization, their body has a cavity, and they are free living or parasitic. And the fourth one or the fifth one is that what? Fertilization is internal and reproduction is sexual. That means that what? Nematoda would undergo what? Sexual reproduction. It does not what? Undergo asexual reproduction. Maybe if they now ask you that what? Which of these phylum undergo sexual reproduction, they now list A, maybe one phylum like that. Know that what? It is phylum what? Nematoda should also be on your brain that what? They have what? Sexual what? Reproduction, and their fertilization is internal. Then the first phylum is the phylum Annelida. The first thing I'm mentioning about Annelida is also that they are triploblastic. Triploblastic again, that means they have a 3 body layer. That is the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the epiderm. Let me mention it again. The ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. And their body is what? Segmented. Their body is segmented, and they have what? A well-developed circulatory and digestive system. So what they have what? A well-developed circulatory and what? Digestive system. So we can see that what? Annelida, they are more what? Developed than the Nematoda now, and the platyhelminths and the Sloterantha. So what? Annelida have what? A well-developed circulatory and digestive system. And most of the annelids are hermaphrodite. Make sure that not all of them, but most of the annelids are what? Hermaphrodite. And what's the meaning of hermaphrodite again? That means a single organism has both male and female sexes present in them. An example of the annelida are the earthworm, and leeches. Earthworm and leeches. Then the fifth phylum that I will be discussing is the phylum Arthropoda. And there's something about this phylum Arthropoda, that the phylum Arthropoda is the largest of the kingdom Animalia. Is the largest of the kingdom Animalia. So the first thing about Arthropoda is their body is triploblastic. You should know what the meaning of triploblastic by now. Segmented and bilaterally what? Symmetrical. And the second point that you should know, that the body is divided into the head, thorax, and abdomen. The head, the thorax, and the abdomen. The head, the thorax, and the what? Abdomen. Those are some of the general characteristics of the phylum Arthropoda. I hope you are getting it. Then the third one is that what? The head bear a pairs of compound eyes. The head bear a pair of what? Compound eyes. That means what? They have what? A pair of compound eyes. And then the fourth one is that what? The exoskeleton are made up of chitin. The exoskeleton are made up of chitin, which we will still talk about very well, maybe in one of our next classes, like I don't know by now. But we'll still talk about skeleton, that we have the endoskeleton, the exoskeleton, and the endostatic skeleton. But this Arthropoda, their exoskeleton is made up of chitin. And then the fifth one is that what their body has a jointed appendages which help in locomotion. Their body have for jointed appendages which helps in locomotion. And there are some classes under this phylum Arthropoda that you should get yourself familiar with. And the first class, which is the largest, is so large that there are people that use their lifetime to study that organism. Those are the insects. It is entomologists that study what insects. So we have the phylum we have the class Insecta, the class Crustacean, the class Arachida, and then the class Myriapoda. So what's know about what those classes and the examples that are present there. Class Insecta, those are your example are your mosquitoes. They have housefly. Arachida, we have the spider. While the crustacean, we have the crabs. While for myriapod, we have the millipede and the centipede. Then the sixth phylum is the phylum Mollusca. And one thing, the first thing about phylum Mollusca is that the body is divided into head, visceral mass, muscular foods, and mantle. So they have the head, that's general characteristic, don't forget. They have the head, the visceral mass, muscular foods, and mantle. Head, visceral mass, muscular foods, and mantle. And the muscular food helps them in locomotion. So their body is also covered by a calcareous shell, and their body also have a cavity. Their body has a cavity. An example are the octopus and snail. Octopus and snail are some example under the phylum Mollusca. So don't forget about the body classification: the head, the visceral mass, the muscular foods, and the mantle. So I hope that you understand that one. Then the seventh phylum is the phylum Echinodermata. The phylum Echinodermata. And the first thing is that they have a star-like appearance. They have a star-like appearance and are spherical or elongated. They have a star-like appearance and are spherical or elongated. Then the second point, that is they are exclusively marine animal. Don't forget that point. They are exclusively marine animal. What does that show? That there is no Echinodermata that lives on land. They are not terrestrial at all. They are exclusively marine animals. And the third one is that they are triploblastic. And by now, you should know the triploblastic from the word tribe. It means that they have three body layers, and they also have 2 feet, which aids in locomotion. And an example of the Echinodermata, organization that the phylum Echinodermata is the starfish. And then the 8th phylum that I'll be talking about is the phylum Chordata. The phylum Chordata. And this phylum Chordata, they are the vertebrates. All the phylum that I mentioned before, they are invertebrates. So from the Coeloterata to the Platyhelminthes to the Annelida to the Nematoda to the Arthropoda to the Mollusca to the Echinodermata, they are all invertebrates. Why for phylum Chordata, they are vertebrate? Don't forget, there are some textbooks like that they will just say that Indian Animalia is divided into 2 groups. We have the invertebrates and the vertebrates. So the phylum under the invertebrate, they will mention from the Coeloterata to the Echinodermata. Then for the phylum vertebrate, we have the phylum Chordata. And this phylum Chordata, it has 5 classes. The first class is the class Pisces, which are the fishes. We have the class Amphibian, then the class Reptila, the class Apes and the class Mammalia. Let me repeat again. We have the Pisces, the Amphibians, Reptilia, the Apes, and the Mammalia. And the first thing about the Pisces that you should know is that Pisces are aquatic organisms. They are aquatic organisms. Just know about that one. They have scales. And their mode of reproduction, they have something that is called oviparous. I will explain it when I'm through it. The meaning of oviparous, viviparous, and ovoviparous. So something about the class Pisces is that what they are oviparous. Then under the class Amphibian, an example of the class Pisces, they are your fishes. Then for the class Amphibian now, from the word amphibian, that means they can live on both land and water. So you know some characteristics under most classes too. They have 4 limbs, present on 4 and hind limbs. You know about their glands. So they have some glands. An example of the phylum under the class Amphibian rather, we have your toads and the frog. While for the reptilia, I know about them too, that they are cold-blooded. And apart from that, they are cold-blooded. Some of them have an ovoviparous mode. I would say ovoviparous mode. And then example of the class reptilia, we have your snakes, lizard, wall gecko, and gamma lizards. And then while for the apes are your birds. You can just some of their characteristics of the birds. Just know that they have feathers, the beaks, that they are lightweight, and because they are lightweight, it enables them to fly. An example are your birds, and it undergoes oviparous mode of reproduction. While the most developed under the phylum Collata is the class Mammalia. Class Mammalia, which we belong to. So under the class Mammalia, know their mode of reproduction also. This Mammalia, the first thing that they do is that they give birth to their young one alive. They give birth to their young one alive. Know that about that they have falls. They have falls. They give birth to their young one alive. Know about that they have a 4-chambered heart. They have a 4-chambered heart, and they have a well-developed brain. An example of class Mammalia, we have the donkey, gorilla, chimpanzee, monkey, and etc. like that. Then I said that I will explain the theory mode of reproduction. The first one that I mentioned is the oviparous. When we are talking about oviparous, it's just what there are some organisms under the phylum Chordata that they will just lay eggs. And the egg will hatch later. They just lay eggs, like the normal laying of eggs. While the ovoviparous now, the meaning of ovoviparous is that they will lay egg inside and inside the female organism also. That egg will hatch inside too, and the baby will first survive in the mother before coming outside. An example are the snakes, that they will first lay egg inside. Then after some times, the baby will take some nourishment from the mother, and then they should come outside. While viviparous just means that's what they give birth to their young one alive. So that's that about the kingdom Animalia. So let's do the revision again. Know the phylum. What's the first phylum? The phylum Coelenterata. What's the second phylum? The phylum Platyhelminthes. What's the third phylum? The phylum Nematoda. How about the fourth? The phylum Annelida. The phylum Arthropoda. The phylum Mollusca. The phylum Echinodermata, and then the phylum Chordata. And under the phylum Chordata, the classes again, we have the spices, the amphibians, the reptiles, the apes, and then we have the mammals. So what? Don't forget. See you next class.